Hey Lucy, it's Tuesday, and today I want to kind of make a serious, sort of informational video and talk about speech disorders. So for people that don't know, I am studying psychology at university. I pretty much find anything abnormal about people to be interesting. I really love just studying people and trying to understand how does all of this happen. The other day in my developmental psychology class, we were discussing language development, which then led me to have questions about speech disorders because I used to have a speech disorder. Now, I like to say that I had a speech disorder, but I don't know if it's ever really something that you can completely get rid of. I mean, I'm sure there are probably people that would disagree with me, but personally I feel like you kind of always have it. I mean, obviously you can get over it to a certain degree, but there's always going to be those little tiny things, little quirks in the way you say certain words that you just can't get rid of. Just a very simple, limited explanation of speech disorders, and then mostly just tell you about my personal experience. Speech disorders are more commonly called speech impediments, which just basically means that there is something going on, usually in this general area, that is making it difficult for you to talk properly. Now, there is a lot of different kinds of speech disorders, like a lot, but in particular, some are caused by biological problems, like, cleft lips and stuff like that. Like, there's actually something biologically wrong that causes speech to be disrupted in some way. But then there are other kinds of speech disorders that haven't been understood yet. I'm not really completely sure why they happen. And of course, that is the kind that I had. Specifically, what I had is called a speech sound disorder. And in case you're wondering, I'm looking down at this because lots of information. A speech sound disorder is when there are certain sounds, like letters, that you can't make the sound properly. Mine was with R sounds. I mispronounced R sounds, which then caused me to mispronounce any word that had an R in it, which, in case you're wondering, lots of words have R's in them. Don't really think about it until you can't say them. So when I was 5, I started taking speech therapy because it was necessary if I ever was going to speak normally. And I proceeded to take speech therapy throughout all of elementary school. So I took speech therapy for 4 years, and obviously now I speak relatively well. Good times, speech therapy. I hated going to speech therapy, but I'm really glad that my school sent me to it, because otherwise there's no doubt in my mind that without speech therapy that I wouldn't have gotten over the speech impediment on my own. No doubt in my mind at all. I would not have gotten over it on my own. It's all thanks to the speech therapy that I took that I was able to get over it and subsequently be able to talk the way I do now. There are certain words that I still have trouble saying sometimes. One of my trip word pairings, which this is 2 words that are very close together but the tiniest bit different. Words like this I get tripped up on and find them really hard to say. And one of my pairings, which this drives me crazy because they're 2 words that I say all the time, and that is the name Arthur and the word author. These 2 words drive me crazy because Arthur and author are so close together, and for the longest time I couldn't even hear the difference between the 2, which, if you can't hear the difference, it makes it impossible to be able to sound out the difference. So for the longest time I couldn't hear the difference. Finally, I was able to hear the difference, and I'm starting to be able to not trip up on them, but I almost always have to take a pause before I say Arthur or author, because otherwise I'll say the wrong word, and it drives me crazy. It really does. But I do get comments about how I talk, often enough that I've noticed. So this is one of the big reasons, I think anyway, that how I talk is unique, because apart from the fact that growing up I was around some different accents, because I was around Pennsylvania Dutch accents and I was around Southern accents, which kind of throw them together make this weird thing. Plus, I also had this speech impediment, and as a result of that, I took speech therapy. Craziness. So I don't really know how to wrap this video up. I just really wanted to make a video about speech disorders and just basically talking about the one that I had. And Lucy, you said that you like my accent, so I kind of wanted to comment on my accent in some way and kind of explain why I think it is the way it is. Last thoughts, Lucy hasn't made a video in so long because her camera broke. Totally sucks. So she sent it off to be fixed. So hopefully we will be able to see her soon. I hope so anyway. It's been like 3 weeks or something. I don't even know. It's been a while. So hopefully she will get her camera back nice and fixed up and she can upload a video soon, I hope. To anyone that has a speech disorder, some encouraging words. People are going to be jerks. Ignore them. It's going to happen. It's one of the negative effects of having a speech disorder is that people are going to pick on you or comment about it. It's a lot worse with younger kids, especially like actual kids, like when you're in elementary school, because kids don't understand it. So they're going to have a lot of questions as to, hey, why do you talk weird? They don't necessarily mean it in a mean way, but when you're a kid and another kid your age is asking you why you talk weird, it's going to hurt your feelings. But they usually don't even mean it in a mean way. I know when I was a kid, it hurt my feelings when people would ask me that, but now that I'm older, I understand that it wasn't that they were making fun of me. They were just curious, because that's a very curious age where you have a lot of questions about stuff. But when you get older into middle school and high school, that's when people start actually picking on you because you talk weird. And I was fortunate enough that I had gotten over the majority of my speech disorder by the time I got into middle school, so I didn't have to be subject to that bullying. But I did know a kid that had one in middle school and high school and still has one now, and people would pick on him all the time about it, which would really piss me off, and I would usually intervene. And it's just something that it happens. It's kind of one of those things like when you see stuff about bullying, it happens. There's not really a lot you can do, just kind of, build up a wall. Just take it in stride, don't let it get to you, and that's all I can really say. They always say with bullying, don't let it get to you. It's gonna get to you, but it happens. And I mean, I don't really know what to say about that. People with speech disorders, hang in there. It'll get better.